In 1974, the first tabletop role-playing game was created. Since then, people from all around have gathered to play. Join me as we talk with RPG enthusiasts while they share their best, worst, and favorite moments. This is You Had to Be There.
Hey everyone, welcome to You Had to Be There, a D&D storytelling podcast. Before we get started, I just want to let you know my awesome intro, the music for it, was created by Michael James McGarry. You can follow him on It's MJ Made on Instagram or It's MJ Music on SoundCloud. And then my intro, the logo, was created by Nicole Summers from the Reliably Chaotic Podcast, which is a D&D campaign podcast. And if you want to be a guest on the show, you can email me at youhadtobethere@gmail.com. That's DND with the 3 letters, not the symbol. Links also in my bio and stuff like that. Also, just moving forward, I just kind of got to give a little disclaimer. I am going to be doing the show bi-weekly moving forward, just because I am a stand-up comedian and I have to kind of also do that. So I'll still be doing a lot of really good episodes. But my guest today is actually a really good friend of mine. I've seen him through the comedy scene, as he used to do open mics at his bar. So it's really exciting. Give it up for Jay, everybody.
Hey, what's going on, buddy? Nice seeing you.
Hey, man, absolutely. So obviously, I knew you for years, and I never actually realized like how long you've been playing this game. So how long have you been playing Dungeons and Dragons for?
Probably since we were like 10 or 12. So you're looking at since 96, 98. So right around like the surge of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2.
That's so your first edition was your first time playing was the second edition?
It's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2,
Advanced
so it's like
Dungeons
the cleaned up third edition.
I got you. Okay, I think my one guest Kenneth was talking about that one. So it's the cleaned up version. So what was that like for you? Like, so you were so young. How did you get into it? Where did it spike?
It was actually through my best friend at the time. His dad must have had the box from when he was a kid, like growing up, and just literally was just like, hey, one day, yeah, I'll just run a game for you guys. And we're like 10. We have no clue what the hell we're doing. And then the most evil thing in the world is, thankfully, it's blocked out of my head, but then you're doing ACs and figuring out your THAC0, which thankfully no longer exists in 5th edition, and you will never have to worry about that. But yeah, and then it started from there, and we're trying to do stuff, and like you have no clue what's going on because it's your first time, and you're just like, yeah, I'm a cleric and I'm going to heal, and then you're just like, I can't attack at all, and nothing's doing damage to our party, and this is miserable.
Right. Okay. So that's awesome though. Like, I feel like that's, as someone who's been playing, like, do you feel like, I know you have your son now. Do you feel like you're gonna be that dad? He's be like, hey.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't not. I mean, it ranges from everything from. It's weird now because I went from pen and paper to now you have D&D Beyond, the website where your whole character is created there. You have your spell book and everything on tabs right in front of you on a laptop. Yeah. I'm just like, wow. And we used to have 1,900 books laid across 3 tables.
Oh, it's so easy now. I think that's like what helped me like want to do it more, because I saw the character sheets back in the day and I was like, this looks complicated, and then like I have this like 5th edition app that just, the app does everything for me, and then when I level up it tells me what I can do, and it is cool because you've seen this game like crazy evolve.
Yeah, actually my favorite is at PAX East. I got my adventures journal.
Nice.
So it actually contains your whole character sheet and all of your maps and everything for your character.
That's really awesome.
But it's also $20 for a character, pretty much.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that wouldn't work for me. I make characters just for fun most of the time.
That's actually how we really got started, because once we first got into it, our friend was just like, I know everybody on your podcast loves their homebrews.
Yeah, so, I get a lot of homebrewers. It's pretty funny.
When we first started, my buddy would run Pokemon homebrews
Okay.
and Dragon Ball Z homebrews.
That's awesome.
But to the point where you would have to go online and find like WinZip files and download them and take whole drives just to get a list of, okay, well, this thing's going to do this many dice to translate. And God bless his soul, I don't know where he found the stuff online, but he had his D&D Bible of it.
Yeah,
of
there's
pointless homebrews, everything.
I mean, I think that's a slippery slope, because like there's like just the amount of things you can do, just it go through your head so much, and it's just like, oh, I can do all these things, and I don't have the mental capacity, because like the most I've done is like, sure, I did like a small adventure for friends, and I wrote like, yeah, you know, people go rescue them kind of thing, like just very mundane, but like to try and sit there and come up with all of those ideas to translate. But that sounds fun. So you played those, like you played through like a few, was it
It,
were they like
it
one
was
shots,
like
or?
always like one shot, so it would be like a weekend thing, so like 2 days or something like that, a
Gotcha.
Friday and Saturday night while you're sleeping over.
Okay,
Fresh out of junior high
fun.
and
Like,
stuff.
yeah, that's awesome. I just played a ton of video games with my friends, but that's the thing, is like I feel like part of the reason why I got so into this during the pandemic was I always wanted to do it, but I like didn't have time, and I feel like I had to catch up. I'm like, I've been missing. Is this thing? Everyone knows about this. Everyone should know about this. This is crazy.
And it was weird growing up because I hit that wave of, we went straight from playing D&D to playing then to EverQuest and EverQuest 2 and Guild Wars and World of Warcraft. And so you literally had the pen and paper, and then you had the complete computerized side of it.
You started with the trunk, and then you saw it like pan out into these things. I kind of have a question. So back, unless you had something.
No.
Okay, so like back in like the 90s, or like kind of mid 90s, as you got older, was it the kind of thing that you like didn't tell people about? Like, was it like when your friend, was it your friend's dad, you said, sat down with you?
Yeah.
Was he like, don't tell people about this, because that's still in that kind of borderline of like satanic panic kind of deal, right?
See, like, we didn't care. We weren't the popular kids in high school, so we didn't give a shit if we talked about it in the hallways or stuff like that. But
okay,
I mean, it's not like, it was never a taboo thing. Like, oh my God, they're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay,
we better call the priest and the principal,
right,
get some intervention involved. No,
so
it was nothing like that at that point.
So you just scathed past that kind of line, probably, because I feel like in the 80s was when
it wasn't that like, oh my God, they're listening to Kiss, we better.
Right, okay. That's good. At least you didn't have to deal with that, because like I've heard all these stories of like people having to hide it. So all right, so you started playing. So did you mentioned a cleric? Was that your first character? Was it a cleric?
Yeah, I believe my first character I made was a cleric, and actually I have at my mom's house still the original Advanced Dungeons and Dragons box. You didn't even make your character. It was pre-made character cards.
Okay.
That they gave to you. So it was like a dwarf warrior, an elf ranger, a human cleric, and like it was just given to you, and you were this person, and that's how it went about, just to make it easy so you get into it.
I feel like a lot of these like kind of alternate, not Dungeons and Dragons, but like these other formats do that like sometimes. You know, there's like these other games that do that. If it's like like you were saying, like if it was like a Ninja Turtle one, if there's something like that, they do that.
I've
which
never
helps
played them, but I do own them, like games like Descent and stuff like that. There are board games that are more geared towards like that.
Yeah. So that's cool. All right. So when you do this though, when they said this is your character, did it come with like a full kind of like backstory, or is that something you at least got to put your flair on?
I don't think they really back then got too involved into it. It was more of a snippet of backstory on the character card, your inventory, your skills, and that was it. And probably your adventure guide was maybe 25 pages, and that was your whole story, your monsters, everything.
I got you. All right, cool. So was it a full campaign that he ran for you?
No, I'd probably say our first go at it maybe lasted 3 games.
Okay, all right. So just a little
And
one
then
shot.
And then it went to the most recent campaign I did, which was probably the most fun I've had, was a short one. It's the pre-constructed, the Curse of Strahd one.
Okay,
But
yeah, I've heard.
with events happening, me having a baby, a 6-month campaign turned into, it took us 2 years to finish it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And
life.
yeah, but over the course of that, I mean, campaigns could sway and change so much from when you start to when you finish, because when we started, it drew out so long that my friend was dating a girl at the time. They broke up, started dating another girl at the time,
Okay.
and they broke up. And then we finished the campaign. So we had to figure out twice how to kill off 2 characters in a campaign because my friend happened to break up with 2 other characters.
Oh, just that's like a band story. That's like something you'd hear.
But I mean, it was great. We started doing them in funny ways, like not to try to keep it spoiler free, but there's a room that you get into and there's all teleporter crystals and stuff like that. And one of them happens to lead to the end boss that, you'll fight and stuff like that. And, we turned around and pushed her into the crystal. So she just
screw it.
so she just teleported in there and, on her own. And it's funny because props to the DM, because he actually threw it back, because when we got back to the fight, he actually included that when we were walking in, we noticed the corpse of her laying on the ground.
All right. Well, I mean, it coincide with the story. Did you guys have any bad blood with that character? Like, or were you just like, oh, we don't like her anymore and just shoved her in there?
Yeah. The first one actually corrupted my character. I was an Aasimar paladin, so I was like the bird creature paladin.
An Asim? Or the Aarakocra?
I think it's the Aasimar.
I think Aasimar is like the half angel.
Yeah, that guy.
Okay, all right. So the half angel.
Yeah, no, not the Kenku. I was a Kenku in another one.
No, but I think the Aarakocra is the bird person.
the eagle bird person.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Okay.
No, the Aasimar, the like angel person.
So oh, that's right, because technically you do get the wings and stuff too.
Yeah, so she actually started, instead of like we would be talking out, like trying to negotiate with someone, and her being a rogue would just sneak up behind them and then slit their throats.
Oh, because you're charisma based, so you were like, I can talk my way out of this.
So I had max persuasion, and then if that didn't work, I had max intimidation. So I'm like, hey, can you do us this favor? And if I failed, I'd be like, hey, now you're gonna do this.
Just yeah. But you never even got that far?
Yeah, because she would just slit their throats. So then I became a fallen paladin, and then I turned into a sorcerer. Oh. Because at that point, he did it leveled by milestone base. It was. So by the time 2 years passed and we were at the end of the campaign, we were way beyond our levels. I think I was a 7 paladin and a 5 sorcerer.
Oh, okay. Oh, and how? Like, what's usual for that part of Curse of Strahd? Like, were you like way overpowered, or did he compensate?
Yeah. Well, it turned out we had many strategies of how we were gonna solve it. I remember our one big strategy was someone was gonna create a force field sphere around them, and then someone was gonna use control water and put the water inside the sphere and fill that up. And then someone else was going to cast Bless Holy Water and turn it all into a sphere of holy water and just melt them like a bath bomb inside of it.
I guess that's what happens when you have really experienced players, where like you just think you start getting real creative.
Outside the box. Like at one point we had, it was my 2 really good friends from high school, my one friend that I used to live with, the two girls that were in and out, but then our other party member was our friend in Indiana. So he was on computer time like on Zoom.
2 hours difference, right?
So if sometimes it would cut out, or if he couldn't make it, we would have to like kill time. So at one point we negotiated with the town and taught the person who worked at the toy shop how to make slinkies. So then all of a sudden, like everything in the town was free. But yeah, it became like crazy. But yeah, we way overpowered Strahd, and I think made it to the third character in initiative before he was killed.
I mean, I guess it's cool, but also like I don't know, it's a little. I did a one shot recently where like we didn't realize, but we found out at the end that we were way overpowered for it, and it was just like you're like cruising through, and I don't know, it's a little weird, but I mean, as long as you had a good time with it, are you gonna continue with those characters after this, or are you?
No, we finished that off. That was pretty much. I mean, we ended it as. I can't really do it without spoiling, but there was a certain point where we could or couldn't do something, and we're all just like, all right, well, let's just completely overpower ourselves. So we all took like curses to like disfigure ourselves. Like I think most of us grew like werewolf skin because it gave us like an extra ability or something like that.
So yeah, I think I have heard a bit about Curse of Strahd. It has like a really good replayability because you make choices that change the whole course of the campaign. Pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, and at the end you can teleport out. So what my friend was going to do was he was going to turn that, and when you leave the Curse of Strahd campaign, he was going to bring it into a Acquisitions Inc. campaign for us.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I'm not familiar with that one. What is Acquisitions Inc.?
It is a podcast that is D&D based. They did a whole bunch of games. They do a lot of live ones. I've seen them live do it at PAX East up in Boston.
Okay.
But so it's their like campaign guide that they got there.
Okay, cool. So he was just gonna bring it over there, but you ended up just kind of.
Yeah, because then pandemic hit, and then we're just like, all right, well, we can't meet up, and we're not going to all negotiate trying to do everything over Discord and Zoom and everything like that.
It's fun. It's funny because there's like a whole difference now because there's some people that started. There's so many people that started doing it that way, and like they don't know anything else.
And the advantages are crazy because like when you're doing it through. Obviously, when my wife was pregnant and stuff like that and having the baby, I jumped in and did it on Zoom myself. And just the ability to go on Discord and message your DM and be like, hey, I'm going to do this without people knowing, you know, that'll be. In the last campaign, I waited till everybody walked outside and I'm like, Josh, I'm rolling initiative. He's like, what are you talking about? Everybody's outside. There's no bosses. I'm like, yeah, but my character has a trait flaw and I have to go back and kill all those children Oryx. He goes, you're going to murder the younglings? I go, dude, I got it. It's a character trait flaw. I'm like, but at least the rest of the party won't. So they all come back inside and they look down and they're like, why are the dice moved? And my buddy just goes, as you look around the corner, you see Jay's character coated in blood from the Oryx children he slaughtered. I'm just like, sorry, guys.
That's your paladin?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I mean, I have a ranger that preferred enemy is orcs, so I feel like he would probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's also fun, too, because, like, the DM sometimes you're, like, playing, they get a direct message from your DM, you're like, oh, no, what's going on? And they're like, you have to, this is what you see, your party doesn't see
Yeah, I'm like, sorry, once someone engages me, I have to finish combat. I'm like, so if they run away, I got to chase them through the whole corridors.
Oh, God.
And that's actually led to kiting enemies in actual Dungeons and Dragons. I was just like, oh, so that's where they get it from. Wow.
Oh my God. That's orc children murder. Oh no. So in this campaign, so how long did you do this one for? You said
it took us
2 years. It was 2 years.
2 years time, but we would try to do it once a week. So. Maybe you would get it once a week for 2 weeks in a row. Then it would be on the third week, and then
nice. So you've been playing for all these years. What do you like 5th edition compared to the other ones? Like I know some people.
Yeah, it's much easier to teach someone new into the game to understand.
Right.
Like if I were to teach my wife had to play. Obviously, it's something that where it's more understandable as opposed to back in third edition, where it's just like, all right, do you have a degree in calculus? Okay, great. So maybe you can understand what I'm about to tell you here.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that the math. I think that level of making it easier definitely paved the way to get more people on board with something like this.
And it's just, I feel like fifth edition also, you just have such a ability to be so creative about it. You can adapt anything into it, like whatsoever.
That's good. That's good. So what other type of characters or campaigns have you done? Do you usually do like shorter campaigns or intended shorter campaigns for that matter?
Yeah, mostly because the time it takes to put something so long and schedule it with a group of people to carry interest. It's easier to carry interest for 2 days in a row or 2 consecutive weekends, as opposed to trying to do it every week for a couple of months in a row.
Yeah.
But no, I've done a couple of short ones. I did one for charity where I was actually going back to a Kenku monk, the bird, so I couldn't talk.
Those are fun.
So yeah. Well, I decided since it was for charity, my character, instead of making sense, I beatboxed. So I did the whole charity event beatboxing.
That's awesome.
For charity.
What was the charity for? Wait, so what was this charity? Because I've heard you mention this like a couple times.
It was a couple of ones. I forget what it was for. We did it through the group that hosted it was Scattered Rollers, and I think they're no longer around, but I think the other group was Greater Restoration. I think they're still.
It's a good name for a charity.
Yeah. Oh no, that's actually the channel on Twitch.
The channel.
That was cross promoting with them. That I was on it for.
With the charity then for sure.
Yeah, it was all like animal based. Like it was being bodyguards for a celebrity, and the singer ended up being Katy Perry. Like they really went with it. So it's just like, okay, I'll beatbox for some charity. Let's go. Not that I have any beatboxing skill. I just thought it was going to be funny, and then got to the table. I'm just like, oh, I've made a horrible mistake.
I feel like a lot like that's like one tough race to play as a Kenku, because you're like, this will be fun. And you're like, crap, I can't like talk, because like one of the players I would play with plays a Kenku in one of our things, and it's like he wants to express something to us, and I make he'll tell us his plan. I'm like, yeah, but the Kenku's got to say it. Kenku's got to tell me the plan.
What I did is I talked to my DM, and there was ways around it. So yes, you can mimic all the sounds and stuff, but I went more of it where he trained and practiced, so he was more of a parrot. So picture more like Bumblebee for the Transformers, where he talks through the snippets of the radio. I would re-talk through words that my party members have already said in their mimicking voices.
Right. I think that's what most people do, because that's what the guy I play with also does. Like, I think but it's still tough, because like you just gotta either you assume that they've been around and they know a few phrases, or like he actually will write every time we're talking. If he hears something that sounds like funny or interesting, he'll write it down. And he's got his list of phrases he could say. So it's like that's a fun. So all right. So you were a Kenku monk that beatboxed for this campaign. What was the campaign like?
It was literally just a short homebrew 5th edition that he did. I know that there was an artificer, a Warforged artificer, as everyone's always favorite seems to be in 5th edition now lately.
I don't do the Warforged, but I have 2 artificers I play. I love it. I love that class.
Yeah, well, I believe he used it where his arms were storage for, so, but yeah, it was a short one. I think it was a 3.5 or 4 hour little charity thing that we did.
Got you.
So I think we did not have one single fighting interaction. I think it was all.
I was mostly role play.
Yeah, role play, skill checks, everything like that.
Sucks for the monk.
Well, yeah, but actually I was the monk. But
I know, that's what I'm saying.
it was funny because then you have persuasion and stealthing abilities to sneak her to her performance so she didn't get attacked. And
all right. So in all your time playing, what's some of your favorite or crazy moments that have happened to you or your character? Obviously, your characters and stuff like that. Anything just that you're like this one?
Let's see, crazy moments. We had one. We couldn't. Well, it's not crazy, but it is a funny one because I'll go back to it because to kill off the second character in the campaign, we couldn't really figure out a good way to do it, so we just kind of slapstick comedy knocked her off the top of a tower on a castle. But the problem was there was another NPC there with us, so they just turned around and they're just like, "What are you guys doing?" And we're just like, persuasion check, and I'll use some inspiration, and don't worry, you just close your eyes and don't even see them get pushed off the cliff.
You see nothing. It's like Italian mobster style. Like you didn't see nothing.
But there's times where you're in there and you're just like, the worst is it happens to everyone, no matter how long you've been playing for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's you go in there and you get into ability, you make a new character, you like 3 battles in or so like that, and you're just like, I got it. Here's my master plan.
Yeah.
Tank's gonna go up and they're gonna go this, and I'm gonna use this ability and I'm gonna win this battle for us. And you get up there and you go to do it, and the DM's just like, that's not what that ability does.
Oh,
and you're just like, oh.
Yep.
Oh no. You're just like, well, what can I do from here? It's just like, well, you're too close to use a spell, so you can bonk him over the head with your wand. I'm like, oh no, that's not going to end well.
I'm guessing that was a wizard.
Yeah, and it never ends well for squishy people within 10-foot range.
Yeah, that's why you gotta. I haven't really talked much about my stuff, but I used the turtle race. You know the turtle race?
I wanted to use that so bad.
Just do yourself a favor one day and build yourself a turtle abjuration wizard, and it's the dumbest thing ever because you have like a 17 armor class, and everything you do just buffs your AC and gives you temporary hit points, and it makes no sense, but it's the funniest thing ever because like they can't touch you.
I wanted to do that, but I couldn't find out the guide online when I was making the character.
I don't remember what guide it's from. I don't know.
Yeah, it's from like it's from either Volos or the Sunken Shore or something like that. It's some weird one.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar.
Yeah, I couldn't get it, so I think that's when I went with the Kenku.
The Kenku, yeah.
Because I was going to be an old turtle monk, like almost like
a turtle monk is great because like you don't have to worry about the dex. Like you because your armor class is already 17 no matter what, so like you scrap the dex, which is kind of weird for a monk, but like you're
fine with it because you use your abilities and then your chi and it all goes from there.
Strength based monk, and then I think the turtle also gets a buff in wisdom too, so like it's just strength and wisdom, which is like really freaking good. It's either wisdom or constitution, but it's something good. I love that class, the turtle class, because I have the wizard in it, and I also have a barbarian in it, which is like a really really good one too.
See, and then if you're really good with your DM, you could talk to him, and then you could get like a special turtle. Like you could be like, well, he's a snapping turtle, so he has a bite reaction.
They might have a bite. I don't think they. I have to look. I don't think they have a bite. I know that their unarmed strike, they have claws, so they automatically get the D4, which is the one thing that kind of like nullifies the monk ability. But like, screw it. And then you can go into your shell as an action, and your armor class increases by like +5 or something, like, or +4. So like you can just like if the going gets rough, you can just kind of like hunker down for a round.
And then with your wizard, if you get control water, you could like do like some Squirtle type Pokemon move and start getting your shell spinning with like water guns out of it.
Maybe I have to check.
You're like, I'm gonna see if I could do this now.
I don't think I can. I don't know. Is it control water a wizard spell? I
Um,
thought it was a druid spell. My wisdom
I
sucks.
don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
which classic to learn it.
it's not good. So,
See,
what
that's
other?
a shame. I've never actually been a DM. I've only played. So
Really? So you've
for
never
me
never DM'd?
no, I was gonna do one campaign once, and it was gonna be a Christmas one. I was gonna have Santa be an evil ice troll. I was gonna have like evil pine tree like treants who were attacking everybody, and I was gonna have like mimics as like Christmas presents attacking with all like little like gnomes running around.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is gonna be too convoluted, and it sounds like a bad Tim Burton written.
I mean, I think honestly, I think every Christmas one shot has some sort of Tim Burton-esque to it, because we did one. Nicole, actually, the one who's on the show a couple weeks back, got one from the DMs Guild called "How the Lich Stole Christmas," and that was a lot of fun. But it I think that's just when it's a Christmas thing like that. So you wanted to write it, but you just never actually got around to it.
Yeah, I was just like, I started doing it. I'm just like, this takes way too much time. I don't have the time or the patience to devote, like, God bless the DMs who dedicate themselves to their home brews and write up backstories for NPCs. And because you could go in there and write a whole thing for an entire town, and you could have people go in there and just be like, yeah, so we're actually going to skip through this town and we're going to head to the next one because we just don't want to be here right now. And then you're just like, I spent 2 weeks writing a whole working economy for this town.
It's the DM's nightmare when they're just like, we're not going to do that. Actually, we're gonna do our own thing. So you seem to have some really cool characters. So you've had your Kenku monk, you've had your the paladin, that was pretty good. What other what are some of your, do you ever make like a weird character that like didn't work out or anything like that?
I mean, not really. You always try to do like weird when you do like random one shots for like a weekend, like because we would do them probably like every weekend. You would do like a short little campaign, so you would start at like level 3 or you would start at level 5. So you would try like weird stuff, and you'd be like, well, what happens if I'm a paladin barbarian? And I'm just where you're just like, what happens if you're a druid monk? And you're just like, some of them you're just like, this is the worst character that I've never ever made because I can't do anything.
Yeah, the weird multi-classes sometimes can definitely screw you over. Did you try it? Was that one of yours?
No, I mean, I'm trying to think.
You like to go, you're a more efficient character builder?
Not even efficient. It's just that I tend to mostly follow the same and even in like role-playing video games the same way. Like most people don't want to be a tank and most people don't want to be a healer.
Right.
So mostly I make paladin. Gotcha. So that way I'm a tank and I'm a healer.
Tank and a healer. That's your
both at the same time. So like my last one was the Dragonkin paladin named Reptar.
Nice.
That was a nice one. I got a enchanted cloak that always made it look like the wind was blowing through it.
Nice.
I had armor that while I wore it, it constantly really released like this like mystic steam around it.
Uh-huh.
And then I had something else where my eyes would like glow this piercing red. So I would just walk up as like the most intimidating thing in the world and be like, stop running, people. I am here to save you. And it's just like, oh my God, run away. He's going to eat us all.
That's awesome. I love that, the creativity behind that character. When you were describing him, I'm like, oh, shaking in my boots. So are there any other cool, crazy, or fun stories that you remember? You've been playing for so long.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, back in the day, you didn't have the so-called accessibility of the internet as it is now. It's just like, all right, let me go on AOL. Let me see if if I could find someone who has a file of some cool little written homebrew story that we could do, or who has a tutorial on how to shift things over. So like I know for a while, like probably for like a year straight, once I think it's like probably once in America it got released, once Goku went Super Saiyan. I think for the next year straight, we're just like, that's it. Every weekend we're making DBZ characters to fucking do some D&D. Let's go, buddies.
Gotcha. So you just kind of rode these different waves.
Yeah, but it would be like, you'd be like, all right, well, my moves, I'm going to use the Kamehameha, the Big Bang, and the Spirit Bomb. It's just like, well, it won't beat my special beam cannon with the Masenko disc. And you're just like, oh.
You would fight each other?
Yeah.
That's kind of fun. You would just gauntlet it out.
Yeah, because it's just like you can't really do a story. So it's just like, all right, you have this many hit points. You have this many. All right, well, who's going to win?
So instead of like, well, so did they not release like books and stuff? But you were just trying to find something different.
I mean, yeah, they had the books, but there was only so many back then. And, you know, you want to do something different. No one wants, if we wanted to do the Lord of the Rings or that type of stuff, it's just like we could have at that point just turned around and like EverQuest just like had released. So it's just like, all right, well, if you're going to be elves and fantasy, why are we doing this on paper? So it took a while to swing back from going to the original of, all right, we're going to sit down and do this. We're going to meet up and play this as pen and paper and on maps and figures. And all of a sudden you're just like, all right, I'm going to log on at 8:00 after I have some pizza. You guys going to jump on? We'll meet on voice chat and go that way.
Well, it's also kind of cool because there's just, you're right. They're like the for lack of a better word, the game has changed. Like, cause you got, you know, with us now, like I'll just get clippings of the map from my DM in our chat. And then, some people do use different like programs and stuff. And I really do want to like do the sit down thing, but even with that now, like there's so many tools that can get used. Like when I did DM and I was like so nervous, I didn't know what to do, so I just like Googled and I found like an initiative tracker.
You over prepare. You have lists. You have monster cards that have all the information, and like half the time they don't even make that.
Again, you were saying it was all digital. So like I found an initiative tracker. I found a combat builder. So like, cause I didn't understand, I'm like, all these points and like complications and like more math. And like, so I found a thing and it's like, how many party members? What level are they? Then it was like, how many monsters do you want to use? You know, this and that. You break it out and it goes, and then it'll basically just be like, you're going to kill them. Or it'll be like hard or medium. And like, it made it so easy. So I can't imagine back then just like sitting there with just probably papers all over the freaking place trying to figure it out.
My one buddy actually just found like a folder, and it was probably like a good 8-year chunk of all of his characters, and I think it was like that big a manila folder.
Oh my god.
Of just like single sheet front and backs. So actually, since they made it so simple, even when you do it on Twitch, D&D Beyond has the overlay. But yes, my last character was at level 12.
Wow. I've not gotten that high yet. We've been playing, but like we bounce around from different campaigns based on who's available. So it's like I just kind of go with what we got. So right now the highest I've gotten is level 6. So, but I feel like it kind of helps to like try out a bunch of different characters at lower levels. Like it kind of really gives you like a good understanding about like around the game and like how it works and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then I mean, then once you get intricate, like I made it like remember in the fight with Goku against Goku, that spirit sword that he had shoot out of his hand.
Right.
So there's actually a spell that you can learn called Shadow Blade.
Okay.
That does that. So then to make it cooler, I would then spend another turn and cast Green Flame Blade, which is a fire that goes around your sword. So I would then layer it up, and I think at one point at one point I with a couple of crits, and then my divine judgments when it hits with my paladin,
Right.
when my smites, I think I did something like 200 damage in an attack.
Just lit him up like a freaking Christmas tree.
Yeah, and my DM was just like, yeah, so you pretty much did like the Cloud Omni / limit break to him. Like, I don't know other way to like
lit him up. But I'm sure, like, I mean, what was it against? Was it like a something that had like 400 hit points, or did you roast like something with like 80 hit points?
No, I'm actually pretty sure it was the final kill for Strahd. I think we had chipped him down, and I think it was just the overkill. Yeah, I think the other like 3 or 4 party members laid into him for a round or 2, and I just sat back, and then I was just like, and I attack. He's just like, God damn it, I was waiting for that, and he's dead.
Yeah. No, the struggles, I mean, in one sense, it's kind of like a gift that you haven't, because, like, again, I'm still new, but, like, the struggles that DMs go through of, like, trying to figure out what's too much and what's just too little is tough.
It's a very fine line, because like I said, if you get too intricate, then too much is dealt with. Okay, well, you've built this world so much up where, all right, well, now so much is going on with the interactions with NPCs that there's no action, or then there's others where it's just like that scene in Lord of the Rings where they're just out there chopping up an entire army with 5 people, where there's just like, all right, you don't talk to a single person and you just fight 5,000 people in a row.
Yeah, there's definitely like an art to playing more passively. I'm still trying to figure that out, because most of the time I'm just like, let's just attack it.
I find that now, being older and playing, you appreciate more the role playing and the strategy aspect of being like I said, like, well, if we encase them in a sphere and then add water to the sphere and then bless that water, we can kill them instantly. It's just like, you don't think of that when you're 14 or 15-year old. You're just like, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to blow them up with the biggest fireball I could cast.
It is a lot. I will say this, though. That is a lot of steps that need to go right to make that to happen, right? Because you can...
saving checks, but other than that, I mean, you just got to try it, because we did that at one point. There was a ambush, and we waited for the leader to walk in, and then instead of it being a sphere, I just cast an invisible wall. So it was just the leader and his whole army stuck behind the invisible wall. and then we just killed the leader, and we're just like, so you guys gonna follow us and listen to us now?
So wait, so you separated the leader from his army?
Yeah.
Essentially, that's hilarious. Was that in your most recent campaign?
Yeah, because we went a little stir crazy with the 2 years and in and out of quarantine and stuff with it. So we installed a democratic voting system into the game with the NPCs so they could dictate themselves and not be under vampire rule. So our DM had a lot of work to cut out for him for all of our shenanigans that we pulled on him.
Yeah, you would like playing with one of my players. He's going to be on the show eventually too. He's part of Reliably Chaotic too. Like, but that sounds like something like we convinced like a bunch of kobolds that their boss kind of sucked, and we're just like, you don't want to work for this guy, and then like, yeah. So that's like such a great way to do it. Like you just kill the boss, and then you're like, hey, why are you even doing this? How'd you end up in this gig? And you just convince. So what were the enemies? Were they like just humans or
well,
like
in Strahd there was a lot of vampires.
Oh, okay. So were they vampires?
I think there was one Baba Yaga.
Oh, okay.
Which is a crazy like swamp witch that we had to fight with. Like her hut is just like, picture like a Banjo-Kazooie hut on like chicken legs running around. It was.
I have to look that up
So
later.
yeah, just straw huts with chickens and her
So
flying around. It was
she was part of the army, and you convinced
she,
her as well?
oh no, this was actually we had to fight her.
Oh, you had to fight her.
It was a fight against her, and I forget how that one ended, but
Well, I'm guessing she died.
yeah, but there are always some shenanigans involved. I'm sure at some point we try to relate Star Wars into it, and AT-AT trip them up with like a wire around the bottom.
Oh, because the huts walking around.
Yeah. But then I don't forget how we finished her when she flew off. But yeah, there's always shenanigans when we play with some way or another of how we finish something. Like
Yeah,
at one point there was like a mayor, and he sent like his strongest fighter to kill us. So after we defeated him, we chopped off his head and went back to the mayor's house in the middle of town where no one knew that he was evil yet, and like threw the decapitated head onto his door and was just like, all right, so we're at the front, and then like the whole town like tried to attack against us.
Oh my god.
Because they're just like, these people took a decapitated head and brought it to the mayor's house, and we're just like, it's not what it looks like. Calm down.
Oh man. That's really funny. That's awesome. Well, this is like really cool. I'm really like glad that I got to sit down and I learned so much. Like you have just from playing through the years, I learned even more.
The evolution of how it went from 3rd and Advanced Dungeons and Dragons to 5th edition now is it's just so more, almost use the computer term, it's just user friendly.
Yeah, I think that's what most people have been saying, and I think that's to my knowledge what the main thing that's been happening is that it is more user friendly. And I notice I love that everyone, like 4th edition was the one that like took it to a different level of complication, right? Isn't that everyone that?
Yeah, because that you really went in depth to the character creations, and then also I think, I don't remember which had more, 3rd or 4th, but yeah, at some point you're like 4th edition version 5, like it got too complex there at some point. But also the big thing is it's more acceptable nowadays. It's more mainstream.
That's true.
Like you see these celebrities where you're just like, wait, what do you mean Terry Crews and Joe Manganiello play Dungeons and Dragons? Like,
yeah. It's crazy. I think that's kind of like what I've also uncovered doing this is like, I say the word and people that I just never would expect, or like people that I've known for a long time, they're like, whoa, really? I love that. I love that game. Been playing for years. I'm like, what? I didn't even know. And I think it's all those people that played throughout the years, or I think it's some people, there's always going to be those hipsters that are just like, oh, it's mainstream now, but it's like, but look, isn't that what it should have been? It should have been.
You want it to be accepted. There's no reason why. Yeah. Like, listen, if there could be a chess team at schools, why can't there be a D&D team at schools?
No, I know. I think that's good, and it's opened up a whole like new world for a bunch of people who get to enjoy this game. And you know what? Like the group playing, in Kentucky, and that do it their way. They're having fun. They're doing their thing, and it has nothing to do with these people. I haven't really encountered them, but I've just heard that they're out there, the traditionalists that don't want.
And there was always that stigma where just like, oh, look at those guys. They play Dungeons and Dragons, and then just like, and nowadays it's just like, yeah, but so does our varsity captain quarterback, and he's in our group, and so is the guy who leads the marching band, and the head cheerleader is actually our sorceress. She's really good.
I had family come to town, and my cousin was just like, I saw you started this podcast. I've actually started playing too, and I was like, there it is. It's become fun, and I think that's what I was sad that I started so late in the game. Like, it's just too much fun. But we're coming up at about 45-50 minutes, so I think gonna kind of wrap this up. Do you have anything to plug? I know you said you used to stream. Have you been streaming at all on Twitch or anything? Or
No, unfortunately, dad life does not have me the ability to stream at all. Actually, as he's going down right now, I have him on his baby monitor on my side. I built myself a computer setup with the help of my brother-in-law and don't get to use it for anything except for I play my Final Fantasy 14 now.
Right.
But no, I used to be on Twitch as at JMunch Plays, but no, pretty much that's it. Just enjoy it through my own personal life as much as weird as that is for people to do. It's just like, what do you mean you don't stream? And it's just like, sometimes I just want to just play Pokemon Snap in bed, not have to play in front of like 52 people and worry about it.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, well, this has been a lot of fun. Everyone, thanks again for listening. This has been You Had to Be There, a D&D storytelling podcast. Once again, I am going to be going to bi-weekly just because I can't do so many things, but I also want to make sure I put out a good quality show. So if you want to be a guest on You Had to Be There, you just got to email me at youhadtobethere@gmail.com. Once again, that is DND with the 3 letters, not the symbol. This has been a lot of fun, and thanks again to my guest, Jay.
Dude, awesome seeing you, and hopefully we'll catch up soon.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye, everybody.